Do you know how many cases of aggravated assault are filed in a year? About 900,000. You know how many people get murdered in road rage or over words? Thousands. Thousands of people's moms, brothers, fathers, cousins, dead because someone couldn't control themselves. Anger is one of our most present emotions, as it is one of our most dangerous ones. Anger can leave you in a state where that innate sense of destruction in your brain is so loud it makes you feel it's the only way to go forward. Let me tell you a story. This is Richard. Richard is 16 years old and is doing life in maximum security prison on counts of assault, battery, and murder. Let's back up a little bit. First, context. Just 2 months ago, Richard was in school and was pretty regularly bullied by this kid named Jacob. And when I mean bullied, I mean stereotypically bullied. Like, Jacob would tell him to die, beat him up, shove him in lockers. He would give him swirlies. Yuck. Which brings me to my first point. What causes anger? I mean a little more generally than getting your head stuffed in a toilet, because the crash out is reasonable. Anger, from all the research I did, boils down to the lack of control you have and your ability to process your emotions. When you don't have control over something, you get angry because now your life is dictated by if the car in front of you wants to make a U-turn on a one-way road. Unfortunately, we can't control much. We can't control the wind, can't control rain, can't control who puts vinegar in your water when you turn around. Can't control much at all. What we can control, however, is our emotions. Our emotions are a little stupid though, right? Man, this Jerry neck bum just bumped into me. I'm gonna break every bone in his freaking face. Now, Richard, for the most part, was actually pretty good at repressing his emotions. He never really outbursted at anybody or anything due to his bullying, which was good for him, until he was given the opportunity to. A man entered Richard's life named Mr. Khan, and Mr. Khan was the worst thing that could have ever happened to Richard. Now, Richard told Mr. Khan about the bullying and the lockers and Mr. Khan, who could be best described as a mentor, a father figure even, sold Richard a .45 caliber Magnum pistol with leather grip. He was a gun salesman. He owned a gun store. But most importantly, he's the most American guy named Khan the world had ever seen. Now, Mr. Khan gave this opportunity to Richard, hoping that if the time were to come, he would be able to defend himself. Richard, now finally having the opportunity to seize control of his life, was thinking what face Jacob was gonna make when he put an inch of lead down his forehead. Regaining control can be difficult. A man who can't control their emotions wants to control the situation, and they become weak. In order to gain control of your emotions, you gotta put yourself aside from that, because if you let yourself marinate in what makes you angry, it's just gonna become a part of you. A very dark and depressing part you don't really want to talk about. You gotta tell yourself, you're not gonna let that become a part of me. Push it to the side, push it away, take a deep breath. It's a little too late for that for Richard though. The next day, Richard had a chip on his shoulder, knowing he finally had a way to fight back. Matter of fact, he was so confident, he started talking back to Jacob something crazy. He said, "Suck your mother, piss off, bum." Jacob was Caucasian white, but he was really feeling himself that day. And almost right as Richard wanted it to play out, Jacob said that he wanted to fight him after school. In a nice, dark alleyway, 6 o'clock. Richard was singing and dancing down the street walking home. He kept replaying how that moment would feel in his head when he finally did it. How ceremonious it would feel after all the torture and shoving and...
What? It's not working.
Oh, thank God. Okay, maybe if we could talk this out now.
No. Get down there and start gargling.
No.
He was finally gonna get back. Richard got there at 5:45. He was waiting. Jacob pulled up soon after. Richard wasted no time, immediately pulled it out on him. Nothing makes a man switch up more than a .45 caliber Magnum pistol pointed at your face with leather grip. As quickly as Jacob was planning on breaking Richard's jaw, he was sitting there begging for his life. This was everything Richard wanted, right? His enemy, the person that's caused him so much anguish and pain, kneeling down to him with tears in their eyes. It should have felt fulfilling. Richard, however, got an epiphany. For the first time in the entirety of their relationship, Richard saw humanity behind Jacob's eyes. A person, not an obstacle, not the ultimate evil. As he had tears running down his face, begging, a bit of empathy came over Richard. His gaze softened, his grip loosened, and he was gonna walk away. Jacob, however, made one fatal mistake. Jacob immediately charged at Richard for the gun. He wanted to knock it out of his hand and gain the advantage. In a panic, flashes went through Richard's head of every time Jacob had fought him or hurt him, and a quick burst of rage came through Richard's mind. Just intense enough to get him to lose himself. Richard jolted out the charge and... Was Richard a subject of his circumstance? Of course he was. Unfortunately, that's what anger is. It's not supposed to be comfortable. It's not supposed to be easy to handle it. Richard's story should have never gotten that far. He repressed his emotions for so long, and then finally, when given the chance, he went crazy. Now, Richard's fake. There are people with Richard's story that aren't. There's people that let one moment ruin the rest of their lives. And there's others that paid the ultimate price because of it. Don't let anger ruin your life. Have a good day.